Hi, everyone, and welcome to One Take because life has no rehearsals. Today, I am absolutely thrilled to be bringing from Portugal Leslie Russell. Leslie and I know each other for a long time. She was the head of sales for Vista magazine, and Vista was one of the print powerhouses. So we'll have a bit of a chance to talk about what happened to print. But much more interesting, Leslie is now the head of multicultural sales for Illumin. Illumin is a DSP. DSPs are I don't know, the framework for programmatic advertising. And programmatic advertising, or what they call data driven advertising, is easily 80% of all digital advertising being bought, at least in the United States. So now we're talking about somebody who is at the very heart of what makes advertising in the digital world. So Leslie, it's a tremendous pleasure. Uh, you're lucky. I love Portugal. So tell us a bit more. We were talking about your decisive moment. So thank you very much for joining us. Falamos en inglés, por
Sí,
favor.
falou. De acuerdo, for sure. Well, I would tell you that there were actually two decisive moments in my career. How I got into Hispanic or multicultural marketing. I had been in the fashion industry and I was looking to use my language again. And I was in my living in New York City in Manhattan and in my neighborhood bar. And I was introduced to somebody through a mutual friend, Bob Collins, who was in the Hispanic magazine business. And he said, do you speak Spanish? And I said, yes. And he said, well, I know someone who's looking for bilingual. And he introduced me to the ad director at Vista, Barrett Alley. And, they took a chance on me because I was Latina de corazon. My family has lived in Mexico since World War II. And, I'd been on 7th Avenue, which is, the school of hard knocks. So that's really was a pivotal moment. But more recently, something that has really struck me, and I haven't been able to tell this gentleman, but I lost my position in 20, I guess it must have been about 2014. And I had been told by a headhunter that I had transitioned from print into digital, that nobody in digital wanted to speak to anybody uh, over 40 or above.
Yeah.
And so, that was a little, uh, disconcerting. And he said, you're going to have to find someone to fall in love with you. Well, what happened was I had an interview with, I don't know, you may know him, Charlie Echevere. He
Yeah.
was at Me Too. And I had, an interview with him, and he had nothing for me. But this piece of advice changed my life because he said to me, you have to tell them that you're a grown up and you can do it for them. And lo and behold, shortly thereafter, I was approached by what was then Visible Measures, sold, Progress. It's now part of Illumin. And I met with them. They were looking for a Southeast salesperson. And that's not what I wanted to do. But I said to them, if you want to develop a multicultural vertical, I'd love to help you do that. And they hired me. And here I am 8 years later, going from Hispanic to African American to Asian American to Native American. And it's been a wonderful journey.
And of course, this is oh, this is one of the most beautiful problems because I could talk to you about two huge, I don't know, tectonic changes. And we were talking about one of them. So it's your choice. We can talk about the huge tectonic changes that have been happening in the multicultural market, which are immense. I keep track, with Jim Bryan and all of that, of
Hmm.
what's going on.
Hmm.
But we could also talk easily about what happened to the print industry what happened, how the transition went into digital. I mean, like, it's your choice, but like, tell us about the changes, the tectonic changes you've seen.
Well, I think everyone knows that print became, a dinosaur, became irrelevant. And but I really would also like to point out the evolution of the Hispanic and multicultural agency business.
Yes.
Years ago when I started in Hispanic, there were full service agencies like the Bravo Group, like Lopez Negrete. Uh, what's the one in San Antonio that doesn't Bromley and
No,
oh, you know,
in
uh,
San Antonio. Oh my God. Yes, I
uh,
I
yeah,
I, I
you
know
know,
exactly which one you're
all
talking about.
business, but Siboney, Conil, Orsi, uh, all of these agencies were full service agency. Then all of a sudden, the general market saw a bottom line opportunity.
Yeah.
So they bought these agencies and they took over media, and the agencies were left with marketing and creative, which it's fabulous, and to this day they're winning awards left, right, and center. But that's a whole different business model.
Yep.
Then fast forward to recent times when particularly government agencies and really a lot of larger advertisers have a lead general market agency. And now general market agencies think that they can do bilingual, bicultural advertising. So the multicultural agencies that get involved in these accounts are assigned in language only. So that's Spanish, that's Chinese, that's Korean, et cetera, et cetera. And particularly in the digital sphere, that is very, very limiting. To be able to develop scale in language only is a real challenge. Uh, in addition, some of our Marcelo, some of the people we've known for absolutely ever. We knew them. I used to say they're knee high to a grasshopper, basically starting as junior planners and buyers. Now, they're EVPs and, in charge of strategy, et cetera, et cetera. But nobody has a budget. So it's a whole different world, and I don't think it's really serving the needs and the interests of our multicultural communities.
Yeah, I've had that discussion a lot with a lot of people. So there's two things. One of them, when I was head of media and strategic planning for Siboney, so we had New York, Miami, and Dallas, and then I sold Dallas. The I presented to Colgate, and we had a budget of like 19, $20 million more or less. And you could see the beginning of the end over there because Colgate itself had a budget of like about $180 million. And we only had 18 to 20 million, but that was, still 18 to 20 million.
Hmm.
And, it was hefty and we advertised a lot. And, that. The African American agency, and I can't remember their name. It's too bad because they were very nice people. They only had a budget of 1.4 million. Now, 1.4 million doesn't even buy you, 10 seconds in a Super Bowl ad, and that was the whole budget. And they were calculating the effect of the African American, uh, I guess, advertising by measuring the African American portion of the advertising that ran in the general market budget. So if you ran, let's say, a spot in Jimmy Kimmel, and you had 5% of the audience being
Right.
African American, they would say, oh yeah, well, we invested X amount of money on African American. And it was useless to explain to Colgate that no, the creative has nothing to do with African Americans at all.
Right.
Like, it doesn't even begin to touch them. But that's the way they calculate it, and you're very right. I mean, people have been relegated to just in language. Now, I've had a discussion with Gene a lot, and he hates me for this. I tell him what they should do is they should really, honest to goodness, begin looking at results so that they can track some kind of attribution saying, hey, whenever we've done this, you have seen your share do that or your sales do something else. So mathematically, there is a proof somewhere that this works. But in any case, you're 100%
They
right.
are doing that, Marcelo. They are doing it.
I haven't seen it.
There are a lot. More and more of the agencies are involved in attribution models, from foot traffic to measuring sales, it's etc. But the budgets just aren't increasing, and right now, we're confronted with an environment where there's a confusion between DEI and marketing.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
so consequently, I think that that's having some spillover, and it's
So how
challenging.
is Illumin approaching that? Because we've seen the change. You are in the thick of it. You're working for a DSP. Let's say from a multicultural point of view, how are you addressing that?
Well, we introduced the first journey platform. In other words, it is a whiteboard, just like you would use in your office to plan. And what you would start with was, of course, you know, um, oh my God, I'm losing it. But, a word, Marcelo, help me. What do you do on the funnel? When you're
Oh, I
doing
don't believe in funnels. Yeah,
brand
but yeah,
branding, and then engagement,
yeah,
and
you
then
get awareness, engagement, and blah
awareness,
blah blah.
engagement, and and conversion. And basically, what we have done is be able for you to see how the consumer responds to different creative messaging, to what works, to be able to capture those audiences, and whether it is not yet just retargeting them, but also saving media dollars by when you get response in the upper funnel, you don't need to take them through every stage. You can transition them already to conversion, and we can identify them to see them later. We also now, as part of our platform, we have a connection to Meta. And the interesting thing in this day and age, where there is I was going to say limited, but I would say almost no ethnic targeting on Facebook or Instagram, you can run a campaign in our in our platform, in our DSP, and then migrate those audiences in
Yep,
Meta. So that's very unique, and
that's
that's
very interesting
um,
because, as a matter of fact, in Meta, same thing in X. You can't really target ethnics. You have to sign like well, you cannot really target a lot of stuff. You basically have to sign disclaimers all the way. Like for one of my clients, I was targeting women who were 50 plus because it was a weight reduction tapping methodology and all that. So we were very interested in older women because older women seem to have that problem more than younger women, where like they want to reduce their dependency on food. Actually, not so much the overeating, but like you tend to depend on food as a psychological crutch.
mhm.
So we said, we want to target. Oh my God, it was like, why are you targeting these people? Sign a disclaimer here that you're not discriminating, people
It's
because of their age.
well, but it's also very counterproductive when you look at healthcare. When there are certain issues, you can't necessarily target based on those particular
Yep.
diseases.
Oh no, no, I agree, but like it was one of those things. No, for example, for Colgate, One of the reasons that Hispanic marketing was so important to Colgate was that health. It really begins with oral care, and diabetes specifically, and it's one of those things that you can immediately tell via oral care. And Hispanics had a higher propensity for diabetes, so we targeted them more. But in Meta specifically, as opposed to, let's say, programmatic advertising, yes, it's really hard. Like full programmatic, you can do it, no problem. Actually, when I launched Equifax in the Hispanic market, we went as far as saying, no, we want to target specifically moms with children who were like 16 because they were thinking about college, and who lived in urban environments because we're thinking along the poverty lines. So not suburban, just urban. And to them, we delivered like one very specific campaign about the importance of credit rating when you're applying to college. But then we decided that we were going to have like a lot of those kind of campaigns, very tactical. And we use I think I used programmatic just when I was created. I mean, like, it's an exciting field to be in. You are in the middle of one of the most exciting developments, and then as AI and even bigger data come available, you'll be able to target even more. So, I've had conversations.
From your lips to God's ears, as we say.
No, for real. I mean, you're there.
I know, but I'm really more looking at the restrictions. Not that it isn't possible, but to the point we were saying earlier is, will they allow you?
Yeah,
That's all.
but I absolutely love programmatic advertising. It speaks to my heart. Like
Yes, I
it's
know you're a techie. You always have
data
been.
driven. Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
absolutely. So just to kind of close it up, one question that I ask everybody, and people have had many answers from really funny to very serious. But let's say you are the consigliere for a CEO or a CMO. The person is interviewing, different candidates, different ages, and they're interviewing, a few older candidates. What do you say about those older candidates? Why hire them? And you've been through this, so I've
Yeah,
been through
I
this.
think all things being equal, I wouldn't advocate just because someone was older. But I think that the advantage is that they come to the table with years of experience, with I guess we call it a book of business and sales, but I get, yeah, they come to the table with relationships and that they've developed over many years. Now that doesn't ensure that they will be able to close, things because they know people, but they will get meetings. They will get audiences. And I think that the other thing is that the uh, more mature, I don't say older, I say more mature, generation is really about relationship building, and they're about a different way of communicating. They're about looking you in the eye. They're about conversation. They're not just about sort of transactional communication. And I think that that makes a big difference no matter what, your business may be. And at the same time, they're excited to make changes and to have an opportunity to grow. They're not a part of entitlement that, you owe me. And if you don't give me what I want, I'm out of here. So, it's a different perspective, I think, and I think it should be attractive. I mean, the research has gone as far as to look at retirees, not just older, but retirees who come, don't want to be doing nothing. And when they come on board, they are beyond productive.
I totally agree. From your mouth to God's ear, my side,
Mhm.
that's what we're advocating. We're advocating just that. don't discriminate just based on age. Listen to somebody and see how much that person can really bring to your business. So,
Absolutely.
Leslie, it's been a real pleasure. Who knows? We might coincide. I'm going to Spain on the 22nd, and we count on
Listen,
you.
you never listen. The actual car rental rates are very good. So we
Yes.
could meet you, Marcelo. We would love it.
Yeah, I would love it. Let me see what the boss says.
Okay.
But I'll be
Absolutely.
in Madrid at some point. So, yeah,
Absolutely. Well, we're going
excellent.
to Madrid. So, abrazo. And I do hope to reconnect very soon. Thank you for this opportunity.
No, thank you very much for accepting my invitation. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
Cheers.